Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, David Goss, Matt Doyle, Tommy Scoo.
Actually, what do we do for New Jersey-based Tom? What's our pump-up song?
I don't know. Did we talk about this and I'm just blanking on it?
I'm so confused.
No, it's happening right now.
Okay.
We're on
The energy is out
the
of
show
control.
has started.
Is
that what we're doing now?
Okay. Now I knew what we were doing here for this Yankees fan and Swishy jacket wearer, Tom Bogert. Welcome to the show, Tom. Welcome to our beautiful studios. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any lawn care that happens during this hour and a half.
But just to make you feel at home, we are going to break a lot of the technology and ask you to fix it throughout the show.
We could make mower noises.
You're going to have to get the bleep button ready if you're asking me for technology stuff. Poor Anders is already writing back.
So you have a cough button right here.
I was just mimicking you for your clearing your throat. It's like the Ron Burgundy. Like,
yeah, I do have to get ready for my O, and I do overthink the O. I want to make sure it's a good, solid, throaty O. Somebody hit us up and said, at what point do you graduate from a Swishy tracksuit to a velour tracksuit? Do you have to be Do you have to be a made man? Is it an age thing, or is it just having the confidence to pull it off?
No.
Tom, I'm so glad you wore your Swishy tracksuit over our
did
One
you hear
Planet
Kaylin
kit.
honoring you on Monday by wearing her
Yes.
Swishy tracksuit?
Full Swishy.
And she drove in from New Jersey to do so.
You know what's funny when I'm listening to the show and I'm not on the show, and particularly when you guys talk about New Jersey or the Knicks or stuff like. Not even when you say my name,
Knicks.
it's like I want to answer. Like I'm walking my dog and starting to say what do you why didn't you talk about Tibbs' substitution pattern?
Let's go.
What should we talk about? Tibbs' sub pattern.
Yeah, so the issue right now is you bring Randall out early. He's not looking good with the second unit, but you don't trust RJ to run the second unit.
You don't trust RJ at all.
Yeah, but the whole thing
arguing about my adult son like
should
this.
should not be getting more than 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, okay, all right. Relax.
Leave my boy alone.
Yeah. We don't know who Doyle roots for until we get to the finals, and then we'll find out. What if it's Warriors-Celtics final?
I didn't even watch the first two Celtics games. I just cut the highlights because it's such a walkover.
Yeah, because Trae Young's the
I
worst
hate you
player
so
in the NBA.
much.
Everyone knows that. It's all on IQ, though, and he's going to step up big. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You don't stress.
I'm not stressed.
Yeah.
Bing bong.
Because you look nice.
Yeah. Every time I hear the subway doors open or close, I just see that entire video, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Just doing that exact guy.
Because the Knicks are back, baby.
Yeah. So happy to have Tommy Scoops here today. It is almost the close of the primary transfer window. It's happening in a few days' time. So Tommy will give us an update on that. We'll get an update on the most important thing in Major League Soccer, which is our Golden Boot draft.
Did Tom,
like the
what's
right day to
your
do
post-transfer window vacation?
There's no vacation. We're always grinding. That's what it is.
Always
Do you
grinding.
even turn off notifications on your phone?
No,
Post
what-
window? Do you give
How
yourself
many
that sort of
unread
breather?
texts do you have normally?
None because I'm psychotic. I'm
keep it at zero.
task based. So if I see a text, that's a task in my head. And just for my job, I have to read and open all these things. But yeah, no, the only way I can stay away from my phone is if I turn it off and put it in a drawer somewhere.
Do you ever do that?
I try to. I really do. And I'm getting a little bit better at it. But then there's always somebody from the West Coast, I might call you later. And then.
This is important information to know how to just absolutely tank your life.
Yeah.
It's
It's already tanked, don't worry.
It's 2 a.m. on a Saturday night. I'm getting home from the studio. I'm just going to start texting you random questions. Task-based Tom. He's got to answer. He's got to do something. We're going to do watchability rankings on this show to look ahead to Matchday 9. It's incredible. We're already there. Talk about our top 22 players and give you a little snippet from the Kevin Paredes interview on MLSsoccer.com. Of course, he's in the Bundesliga at Wolfsburg. Some good stuff from our guy, Jonathan Siegel. And we'll get into the mailbag and give you Sporting KC supporters your time.
Look at how I match the back screen, though.
Yeah.
Look how perfectly my color scheme is.
So, One Planet kits are out. You may have seen. We're all wearing them here. Jerseys made with Prime Blue, a high-performance recycled material made in part with Parley Ocean plastic. You can get them at MLSsoccer.com.
Tom, these are the jerseys. We're not talking
MLSstore.com
about New
is
Jersey.
the spot there. On that front, how do you guys feel about sharks? Sharks have been the theme of the week in Major League Soccer. Inter Miami, of course, swam with sharks, took photos with sharks. That's how they promoted these jerseys.
They have done the best shoot with this every single year that they've been in the league. I guess it makes sense because they're in Miami, but I don't know. Next year we should get ourselves involved in that.
Are you scared of sharks?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
I don't like going in the ocean. I don't like being in any ecosystem where I'm not at the top of the food chain. So yeah.
Do you
agreed.
swim anywhere?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What, pools?
Yeah, if it's not ponds, David.
Do you swim in lakes?
I go jump in Newtown Creek every now and
Exclusively a
again.
pond guy.
I swim in super fun sites.
Yeah.
I really,
You gotta have
literally
a lot of
myself.
algae, big algae.
There are two types of human beings in the world. There's lake people and ocean people. What are you?
This
I'm
is
a
true.
pool
Oh,
person.
cool. So you're not relevant.
I'm a pool person.
You?
Ocean. I live on the
did.
beach.
I'm a lake person.
Ah!
I'm a lake person. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Like a
irrationally nervous in open water and
It's gross.
oceans.
It's
Oh
gross.
yes, I agree, but I'm less scared. I remember when we went to Recife in Brazil. I think I
Mhm.
mispronounced algae as well.
Recife.
Yes.
And every single beach you go to, there's a huge sign
Scary.
that has a big red circle with a line through it, and it's people swimming, and it has a shark next to it.
Scary.
And Nick Fershaw's idea with content was that I was going to go swimming there. We had already tried to get me to swim with the pink dolphins
Which
in the
are
Amazon.
kind of gross.
Yo, that is for sure gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
But
are
I was
weird
willing to do
looking.
that. I was willing to do the pink dolphins, though I was terrified. And thankfully, like we ran late, we couldn't do it. We had to go to the game.
hmm
But no, I'm not a like any ocean. I'm doing research ahead of time. Like it's an issue. I want to raise my kids to not
So
have the
boring.
same fear that
Fear
I do,
of the ocean.
but I don't know how to do it because I still can't like go into the ocean without feeling a little nervous.
You just toss them in with Uncle Tom down at Asbury Park. It's a
Come on
beautiful
down.
beach.
Come on down to the beach, baby. I love this show so much. It's
Tom,
been incredible.
wearing the jacket with the mustache, I just wouldn't do the whole thing.
Oh,
you gotta
Lord.
wait 30 minutes after you eat the moths, otherwise you're gonna
What
get a
are you
tummy ache. It's good stuff. It's good. Yeah, I'm scared of oceans. It's true. It's true.
Recife was scary because it's literally a city built to protect you from sharks.
Yeah.
That part's a little
No,
scary.
it is not a place to.
Yeah.
You don't swim there. And
Well,
I
you
didn't.
do. You just go in the protected areas.
I didn't know those existed.
That's literally the point. That's the point of the
Nick,
sign.
Nick did not take me to any of those areas. He took me to the other beaches and was like, "This is where we're doing this bit," and I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think it'll happen for me. All right, let's get to the most important part of the show. That's the Golden Boot Draft update. We do not know who's in first place, though it was very tight last time, all with one goal. Andres puts it in our Google Doc, but he highlights black over all of it so that we cannot see. So I will unveil now who's in first, and sadly, it is Tom/Kalen in first with 23 goals. Hani Mukhtar not even rolling, just 2 goals. Brandon Vasquez doing nearly nothing in front of net. Getting his goals from Jesus Ferreira, Denny Bawanga, Lucas Zelarayan, and Martino Heda, I guess, with 2. But Shaqiri hasn't done anything, and yet you're in first. Brenner, tough pick for you. You probably knew he was going to
Got
get
him in
sold.
the-
You
yeah.
still took him.
Yeah, because I got him in like the 8th or 9th round.
Tom, I'm not going to lie.
Value.
Your number one selection is Jesus Ferreira, who was your carryover from last
No,
year.
Hani was the carryover.
Oh, okay, then good job. Because I was going to say,
You're about to
I
blame
don't.
me.
I look at this team. I don't think it's lasting for Tom.
You guys
Yeah.
are talking a lot of smack for the first place
No,
team.
this is analysis. This isn't smack, right? This
Doyle
is,
came at me immediately in the group chat following the draft, and it wasn't I'm gonna win. It was
You
your team
roasted
is
me.
trash.
You roasted me for taking Duncan McGuire in the 8th
And
round.
No.
Over
Duncan McGuire in the 8th round, and he has twice as many goals as the bum you
2
took
times.
in the 8th.
2 times.
Hey, man, he
Math.
doubled him up.
I roasted you for watching. Your analysis is based on one
They're
single
both. They're both
Orlando,
starting.
New England
They're both
preseason
They're
game.
both starting.
And
They're both
you
starting.
said that
Well,
about
Duncan
the
McGuire.
preseason.
Giacomo Vrioni.
Duncan McGuire doesn't
Oh,
start.
he's back in the starting lineup this week. I
Maybe.
guarantee it. I guarantee it.
because
Oh,
of the
boy.
way he worked that ball off the crossbar, off his body and in.
Got to be in the right place at the right time to put
Goal
the ball in the
scoring
back
instinct.
of the
Did
net.
anybody
David.
take Brian White?
No.
Yeah,
Jersey
if we're
radio.
talking about
That
body
should've
finishers. Brian
Yeah.
White, he's among the.
That should
among
have
the
been my
best in the
system
world.
pick. The Shaqiri one was after Doyle went with Duncan McGuire, after Goss went with Derek Etienne. I felt like I had to go with somebody for the brand, and it should have been New Jersey Mario Gomez instead of Shaqiri.
Yeah, you're
I'll
right.
say that.
All right, in second place, David Goss.
Long,
David Goss.
slow burn, sitting where we want them. We are Philly Union of 2022.
It is. It's a 3
So you're
goal
going to lose
gap.
to me on a tiebreaker?
3 goal
Potentially.
gap between first and second here. Dave is. Let's see, who's doing it for you? Julian Carranza starting to heat up.
Jordan Morris.
Daniel Gazdag
I
right
can't even
there.
see my team. I just sense
Cucho
it.
has given you nothing, and you're still here.
Don't even need it. We're
David's
a
got a
team.
solid team.
Giassi
Everyone
Zardes
carries
and
each
Lewis
other.
Morgan are looking a little bit questionable.
Lewis
Johnny
Morgan
Russell,
seems like a tough one. It's been a tough year with Lewis Morgan. Yeah.
Rui Diaz just starting to get going, but Jordan Morris, man, that was a nice pick. good pick there.
You're
Already
welcome.
1 goal more than
Also,
last
I got 2 goals from Philly this weekend. I'm just waiting for CCL to be over. And I'm not even playing yet. You know what I mean? Like, we're
That's
not
right.
even trying.
That's right. You're like Jim Curtin. Like,
Second-
it's all about CCL right now. We'll
Still
focus on the
second
league
place.
at a later
Yeah,
date.
still
At a
second place.
date. Okay. Somebody's already highlighted this, so they know. It is Doyle, unfortunately for me, unfortunately for Doyle, in third. So Doyle, you've fallen down the pecking order here, but you're just 1 back of Dave and 4 back of Tom here.
Willie Agata's had a big year.
It's been Willie's been tough.
Joseph Martinez, designated player Sergio Cordova.
He got injured.
Well, hey, availability of skill.
Availability is the number one
Ability.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, it's
looking
a skill. Let's see. Joseph Martinez. We don't know if that's going to turn on. Dan Joveljic had his opportunity in the starting lineup. He may have lost. it at
Gabby
this point.
Pereira in the last round, though, and then Klaus second to last round.
Yeah, those are
That's
good.
the win
those are
right
good.
there.
Yeah, those are good. round
And then
picks.
I went Vrioni, McGuire, Klaus, and Gabby Pereira. My last 4 picks. I'm gonna wager that they will end up with more goals than David's first 4 picks.
Who are my first 4?
Gazdag, Cucho, Bernardeschi, and Rui Diaz.
Okay, cool.
That's
Okay,
quite a.
cool.
That's quite a. That's a gambit.
It's funny because you keep stretching to include Veroni in this whole thing, where it's like you sound good by like McGuire, Klaus, Gabby Pereira, last 3 great picks. You keep stretching to get Veroni in there, and I think that's going to be your undoing. I think Veroni is going to get outscored by everyone on my list, and I'm going to end up winning. And if you had just held it to top 3 versus bottom 3, you would potentially win this.
Yeah, I mean Rui Diaz versus Vrioni. It's fair.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty confident.
I'm not out of touch here at 18 goals. As the defending champion, anything can happen. And I
saw
also
Romel at the game on Saturday.
Did you?
Yeah, wearing a very nice turtleneck and jacket. Didn't play, but looked
Nice.
aces.
Sick. Yakumakis is hurt, so that's dope. He's really fueling me here. Carlos Vela says he can be better. That's an encouraging sign. Diego Rubio is back. Tyus Magno's playing on the wing.
This is the most weeby team ever.
Is it?
This is such a name
The
brand
Enzo
team.
Capetti pick, I'm pretty regretful of.
Really?
4th overall. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be. I needed him in that
I
position
think that's
to
a
be a
good pick.
15 goal scorer. I don't think it's going to.
I mean, I think he'll end up with 10-12. Like, you have much worse picks. You have much worse picks.
what's Insigne 5th was a rough one.
Insigne 5th because he's not going to play 2,000 minutes. That's
Yeah,
a
should have
bad
gone
one.
with just the try hard
Kyoto is the worst one, right? Like, Montreal lost all of their talent this offseason. They have a new coach who's not as good.
Do you blame me for that, or is it?
Well,
is it because I sat next to the biggest Montreal is going to be just
Here's
fine
the one
homer
thing,
in the
though.
world?
He-
So you're saying he got you
it's Rube's
in the
thing.
way he got me last year with Estrada.
Correct.
You got to take Michael
planted
Estrada.
the
That's a
seed.
World Cup
He
starter.
planted the seed, and I don't remember the episode, but he was probably like, "Man, if I could get Kyoto
You
here."
realize Montreal have scored in 1 game
Correct.
this year?
And 2
One
of those were
game.
after the 90th minute, and the other
Yeah.
one was a PK.
Yeah.
Also,
And
Kyoto's
after
always
a
hurt.
red card as well.
Correct.
Kyoto's also always hurt, so that's kind of.
And
Yeah.
last year was like by far his best.
And he was
goal scorer.
still
I don't
hurt.
think he'd ever scored more than 8 goals in a season. He's 32. He's hurt.
He literally spent the last half of the year just tired. They
Yeah.
were like, "Why is he out?" Oh, because he played.
Who scores more, Leo Campana or Joseph Martinez? Both on 0. I have Campana,
Definitely Campagna.
and
I think they
Doyle
were
has
both.
Joseph.
Both
I
bad
think
additions.
Joseph. I mean, either way, they were both pretty bad picks.
You think Joseph will score goals?
I do.
You think he'll keep starting?
Yeah, I mean, Neville really wants a 4-4-2. And from what I've heard, there were personal issues that made it difficult for Joseph to be fully fit entering the season. So I think as soon as Miami add a playmaker, and Joseph still knows where the goal is. He scored 10 goals last year. He scored 12 the year before that. And that was when he was unhappy.
Yeah.
No.
Personal issues is why I'm not fit, by the way.
Yeah.
But we're on the RJ Barrett method. We're working ourselves into shape as the season goes along.
What's the worst pick here? What's the
I mean-
absolute number one worst pick anybody made?
It's
It
hard to
might
argue
be
against
Willie
Shaqiri.
Agata at the number 2
I'll do it
pick.
to myself.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against Shaqiri.
I right now.
But at least it was the last
At least
pick.
it was the last pick. Yeah.
No, and sorry, we're looking at this incorrectly because the first pick on each team was the carryover.
Was the
So
keeper.
Willie Agata was your first pick of this year.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the worst pick.
it was a like
But it was a brand pick.
I don't
It was.
understand why it has all gone so bad for Sporting Kansas City so quick this year. When you look at how they played down the stretch, they were creating chances. And Peter Vermes is saying, like, well, it's tough to be a good team when you don't have your DP number 9 and your DP number 10. And he's not wrong, but you also did not have your DP number 9 and DP number 10 down the stretch last year. You went 6-3-1. You were scoring 2 goals a game. You were constantly generating good chances. I don't know why it's different now. They look terrible. And Agata's got to shoulder some blame because he's missed chances and he's just not as dynamic. You look at his movement. I mean, he's not the same guy that he was. And it's a bummer because he was a joy to watch second half of last season.
They also had Russell at the end of last year.
They have him back now, man.
Yeah, but Agata's already on the. Russell came back. I think they played like one game where
who's
they
got
both
Russell? That
started.
was a pretty bad pick.
Yeah, I
oh,
agree.
David Goss has
I
Johnny
100%
Russell.
agree. And Lewis Morgan, both of those were bad picks. But Russell was second to last round.
You want to talk? Do you want to talk a little bit more about how you think that Lewis Morgan's an MVP candidate this
Yeah,
year?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Lewis Morgan told me he was going to take his game to the next level. Weeby's golfing with him in New Jersey.
Not
I
yet,
thought
we haven't. No, we
everything
haven't
was
yet.
going in the right direction.
Would like to.
I mean,
Would
it
like
sounds like associating with Andrew Weeby
Yeah.
is maybe what drove him
his
into the
ankles
slump.
are hurting just off Andrew's
That's fair.
presence.
That's fair. But the flip side is, like, previously last year, it was a good sign
By
to
the
be
way,
on the Weeby team.
David is absolutely annihilating my Willie Agata pick with my first pick. Who was his first pick? How many goals that guy have?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah?
I think Cucho will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you think he's going to get his starting job back from Christian Ramirez?
Yes, 100%.
Who was the best keeper?
Has Christian Ramirez
Decision
scored yet? He scored 1?
He's got 3 goals, I think.
Does he?
Jeremy Abobasi was a pretty good keeper pick.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Though it would look, if we had done this last week, I wouldn't.
It wouldn't look not as.
Can we
been
go
as good.
back in time when I was debating between last year picking Mason Toy or Jeremy Abobasi, and I picked Toy. He got Abobasi, and now that's his keeper, and the guy's going to be in the Golden
That's
Boot
a tough
race.
break for you.
Yeah,
Tough break.
that was a mistake.
Should we be doing an additional pick after the summer window? Should we? Is this like?
Yeah, I
do we
think
want
we
to just
should
hold strong here? Do we
No,
want to add?
we want to add guys after
Yeah,
the
for
next
sure,
window.
for sure. Okay, if you have suggestions, let us know. Anders
We
is
should have
going
some
to-
form. We should have,
Anders just showed up in our ears saying, "I'll come up with a new allocation mechanism
Yeah.
or player acquisition mechanism."
I would, get creative with that.
I think
Anders.
we should sort of follow the like Suni Sad, Perry Marisovic method
Oh,
of
that's
like
some-
allocating players.
Yeah,
So throw
those
back
are
for
some.
you.
That man.
Wow.
What?
Go Wolverines.
Apparently, Suni
Go
Sad is the
Wolverines.
man in Lebanon too.
Also, I think he's been in Thailand for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's been in Thailand.
I feel
Just
bad
scoring
for,
goals from
We
40
should
yards.
go. We should go cover
go.
Suni
Yeah.
Sad.
the title of this episode is probably going to be about the transfer window closing soon, and I'm just imagining the fan that's listening to this going like, "Oh man, can't wait to hear some transfer news. Can't wait to get ready for the weekend." And we're like 45 minutes in about our Golden Boot draft and whatever that was. It's just I love this show
I am
so much.
imagining legions of people listening to this, just
Skip-
smiling ear to ear.
skipping ahead 30 seconds at a time.
Just
Oh my god,
an
what is this?
absolute sicko army. This is all that they could possibly care about is the update to our Golden Boot draft, which they were locked in for the second
Well,
edition.
now we
of.
get to talk about it even longer, apparently,
What's
because
that?
now we're gonna pick our MLS
Oh.
squad pick.
Oh yeah, no, look at that transitioning to us.
Incredible.
Now listen, MLS squad pick, MLSsoccer.com/gaming. Free to play games. Go check them out. It's a lot like the Golden Boot draft, just week to week. You pick 5 players you think are going to score in the same match day. If you get all 5 right, you win. And there are small prizes you can win every single week, but the big one is $10,000. And you just have to play it one time. You're entered into a random drawing at the end of the year for that grand prize. MLSsoccer.com/gaming. Make me a guarantee from each of your teams who is scoring this weekend.
Do we have to do it from our team, or can we pick other?
No,
people's
you got to go
teams?
from your own team.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I know that limits it for you.
Well, I was gonna pick Abobasi. So that's why I was asking.
No, you go first, David.
Well, also Jeremy.
Mason Toy.
Wow.
Yeah, Mason Toy.
Wow.
I'll go Jordan Morris, even coming off the national team against Minnesota at home. I helped preview that match. You could watch that preview on Apple TV, by the way. MLS season pass.
You may have heard of it.
But if you look at the last game, it was 2 goals, back post runs for Orlando, where Minnesota fell asleep. And so whether it's Roldan and Morris or Chu and Morris, I think there's those openings there out wide. So I'll say Jordan Morris. Plus, if he plays for the national team, coming off with a little bit of confidence.
Okay. All right. Who you got? Doyle.
Willie Agata, obviously.
You think he's going to start?
No, he's going to come on for the final 25 minutes against the Revs. Sporting will be down 4-0.
We're just trying to prime the pump for old Willie.
Willie's gonna get a consolation goal.
Okay,
that's it.
Okay, living the dream.
I'll go Brandon Vasquez at home against Portland Timbers.
His second goal of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about him maybe in the transfer segment as well. That's coming right up. I am scraping around here.
What were you hoping that I was going to filibuster?
Yeah, sure. I'm not super confident in anybody.
Enzo Capetti at home against Columbus. Columbus will open up. They'll go for it. Charlotte has scored, especially at home.
They've scored.
Well, I'm saying they're putting up goals. It's not like they're sitting 18 deep and whatever. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I can't trust. I would maybe go Mikura, but they're probably not going to play him ahead of Champions League, or maybe not. TBD on that one. And Giacomakis
sounds unlikely.
Probably out. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to jump on in LA. I'm going Driussi. Yeah, I think Thompson's got it.
I think it's good that you went away from a guy on a team playing at home scoring to a guy on a team that hasn't scored in 2 weeks, but going back on the road to LA where they got shut out 2 weeks ago.
Hey, go with your gut. Go with your gut. And Under says he has the field, and he's claimed Christian.
Wait,
Espinoza.
I thought he put together a specific roster. Oh, we don't know who's on
You missed that. He says he's going to reveal it at the end of the year, which is that's very convenient.
Yeah,
all right, it is time to talk transfers with the only man we would ever talk transfers with and trust. It's not entirely true, but for your brand, we will say that. There's other people.
And we move.
Yes. and we move. Transfer window is about to close. The primary transfer window in Major League Soccer, which means that moves within the league can still happen, trades, what have you, as well as transfers from outside the league. And those will get a little more complicated. But let's start with the Brenner transfer to Udinese. This had been rumored for a little while, Tom. What do you know?
Yeah, so the deal's being finalized. I've reported last week that a $10 million transfer plus add-ons plus a sell-on percentage. Udinese wanted to get this wrapped up now. I reported that they had a bid. They were the first team to make an official bid in January for Brenner, and that didn't happen. Then Nottingham Forest kind of came in late and didn't get it over the line before the deadline. So now Udinese, I've kind of sorted this deal. So he'll go in the summer. It's going to be $10 million, and Brenner will stay with Cincinnati until the summer. Again, it's all been, signed, everything pending a medical, and obviously there's no worries that something will be tripped up there.
Did something change from January then? Did Udinese's offer go up? Did anything specific change?
Yeah, the offer went up a little bit. And again, Cincy were hoping to hold on to him for a little bit longer, and it makes sense that now they have more time. Again, they were already planning for his eventual departure. This isn't news to them. There's no surprise, but it gives them another half season to get ready to hopefully hit the ground running in the summer window with a deal for another DP. It would have to be a young DP to replace Brenner. So that's kind of their goal. And again, for half of the season, the core of last year's team that was so good, the core of the start of the season that has started so well, by points, they still haven't gotten their kind of top gear in terms of performance, particularly attacking, but they're all intact going into the summer. So their belief is that this won't cost them any points in the Supporters' Shield race, and they'll kind of be able to transition smoothly out of the Brenner era.
Remind me, Brenner's initial transfer fee is right around this, or just a tad more than
yes, this? The complexities here is that his fee was $13 million. That's what they cost to get him. This was not a deal done by the front office. This was not Brenner's fault that he was overvalued. It was a panic move by Cincinnati in the previous regime that were trying to shake things up and keep their jobs. It didn't happen. What I was told the summer before Brenner was signed, he was being offered around MLS, or the idea was a loan with a purchase obligation or triggers for like $7 million, and they bought him for 13. So it wasn't just a little bit of an overpay. So the way that I look at it is,
I would just love to play poker against Gerard Nijkamp. I would love to play poker with that guy.
Beep, beep, like the bus just being backed over those previous regimes.
Yeah, and look, I know that
he just didn't know about conversion rate.
For what it's worth, 7 is a higher number than
he thought he was spending 13 million reals. He didn't realize they were dollars.
But so I think my larger point is that and I think we get too obsessed with turning a profit and transfer. You want to transfer because you bought somebody for cheaper and then you sold them for more. I wouldn't be beholden to that 13 million figure because and again, I go back to what I heard from another GM, and again, I'm going to run over the previous Cincy regime. Another GM was trying to trade for another center back, and he starts the conversations with teams like, look, the value, like whatever Cincy's trades were at the start of their expansion season, that's not the benchmark. We're throwing those away. You can talk about other deals, and that's what we'll work off of. But if you think that's how I'm valuing players, I'm not, and we should stop talking now. So again, everything's contextual, and again, it's not Brenner's fault that he was signed for more, and it's not the kind of current regime's fault that he was signed for more. And if they were desperate to we're only selling him for more than we acquired him for, he would not be sold.
Yeah.
That does mean, however, that they're not going to get allocation money, generate allocation money off of the deal, however, right? Because you have to recoup all of your initial acquisition costs.
Yeah,
so it may not be like, oh, hey, don't judge Chris Albright, obviously, on this deal. But at the same time, in selling him, it's not like there are assets coming back into Cincinnati, though it seems like that doesn't matter to the ownership in terms of reallocating money to go buy another young DP.
Yeah, and again, that's the idea. I'm curious. I'm gonna assume that it'll be a center forward. Again, I'd imagine that their planning had been like for like in this slot, knowing, looking out in the future, projecting who might be going, who might be staying. But they do have a U22 initiative slot open, and they did kind of go out of their way Isaac Katanga was on loan until the summer. They ended that loan and sold him permanently earlier this month or late in March. So that opened a U22 initiative slot immediately. So maybe that there could be something that happens there over the next few days, however long it takes until Monday. So again, maybe if you use that on a center forward, does that change the math for the young DP spot? They're trying to re-sign Lucho Acosta to a long-term deal. He's got a team option for 2024. I'm not reporting this with inside knowledge or anything, but I think they're going to pick up that option regardless of a contract. So they don't have to worry about Lucho for 18 months. Again, we might talk about Brandon Vasquez next. That's in flux. So I'm very curious to see what they use these two high leverage mechanisms for.
So either way, no matter what the numbers are, you have to chalk this up as a huge win for the current regime to sell him at this number, because there was a time when, forget 7 million, forget 10 million, he was like a Skyline level bust.
In April of last year, if they were like, screw it, I want the DP spot, it would have been a free loan to a Brazilian club and then like a $4 million purchase option.
So just to rehabilitate his value was a massive.
Yes.
Win.
And again, we're talking about these in financials, and I want to make sure that we always get brought back to the field. He had 18 goals and 8 assists last year. He was integral to them making their first playoff game and advancing it's not just we turned a profit or we didn't turn a profit. Like, what's the value for his 2 seasons here? What's the value for their next young DP target? If it's a Brazilian player, if it's a South American player, hey, look what we did with Brenner.
Yeah.
He's at Udinese. Like, it's not just, raw numbers. It's a guy who kind of came in. I forget was he best 11 last year or like one of those? I don't think
he was
exactly.
He wasn't best
Vasquez
11.
was
okay.
Vasquez
So, but
was best 11?
he was still,
no, it was Chicharito and Ferreira.
Because the only way we could best 11 had 9 number 10s and 4 center forwards. I don't know if he got in there. But he was one of the best forwards in the league last year. So again, it's not just they took a loss, air quote, on the transfer fees.
Are we done with the Brenner era already?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
He'll be here in June. I believe it's the beginning of June rather than the end of June. But the idea is he'll still be here for 2
Is he
months.
back training with the team? Is he?
He's not training this week,
No.
but he still hasn't completed
finalizing.
all of that stuff.
Yeah, he's still finalizing.
So there's still an excuse for why he wouldn't be training. That makes sense, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
We will see what happens after that, though, right?
Yeah. How many games? How many more games do you think Brenner plays?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're Cincinnati, would part of you given
if I was anyone
Sergio
associated with
Santos,
this,
would you just be like, hey, let's look to the future?
I would not play Brenner again, and I would not want to play if I was Brenner. Like, everything is about the next move. Like, if you're FC Cincinnati, the other piece of this is, assumption is there is a level of sell on. So like his value to you now, okay, some of the points in the standings, but is also like, can he land at Udinese in a good spot and can he move on from there? Also, as you said, you have Sergio Santos, you have Dambaji, like you've set up the runway off of him, and maybe it's easier to do it now than it is in the summer. What's really interesting to me when you talk about all those positions and the potential to make moves is their biggest weakness is losing Lucho Acosta to any sort of injury. There is no space in the team for another guy like Lucho. So do you spend the money on a replacement? And is that replacement even going to be good enough if Lucho's out? So does it not even matter? And I think there's a calculus in there, whether it's the under 22 spot or the young DP spot, where I think it's going to be tough for them to manage. Because if you bring in an a young DP who's a 10, Lucho's going to say, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
While negotiating a contract.
I would be surprised about that. I mean, I guess it's with, I don't know any of this for certain or not, but I'm assuming the young DP will be a forward. I'm like, So to your point, maybe it's a second striker type of player, maybe a little bit more creative because Brenner is more of an off-the-shoulder number 9. He does a lot in terms of defensive pressure and he can play link up and stuff. But he's more of like a classic number 9 and running behind finished goals. So maybe it's a more creative type of forward. But again, those combo type forwards are very expensive and they're very hard to find. So I'm not sure how you solve this problem. I think that they believe Barreal is push comes to shove. God forbid we need a backup number 10 because Lucho's hurt. It's probably Barreal, or maybe they hope that Angulo can show more. But again, I think he's more of a box.
He's more of an 8, though.
So like
yeah.
that's. But again, in a pinch. But and going back to Monday's show too, like.
Like a good listener.
Yeah, I was like,
a
Monday's show.
If we're good listener.
If we're talking about, if the team's best player MVP is hurt, there is no backup plan for anybody. And like, so I'm not sure how much time that you even spend in a roster building way on that.
Are they married to this sort of formation? Given that Brenner's going, Vasquez could be potentially going, is talking about things of that nature publicly. Like, is the 3-5-2 with the wing backs and 2 forwards up top and Lucho underneath, is that what they're married to? Or because when you talk about the transfer policy, like that's where you start to think, okay, where are you plugging them in? How flexible is it? Because we're not talking about wingers here, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, so the other formation would be the 4-4-2 tight diamond that we see Philly running, and I believe that's what Pat Noonan played the first third of the season last year. Doyle, tell me.
No, it was a 4-2-3-1.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So, but that was kind of the idea. Their first idea was to go to the 4-4-2 diamond, or that's what we're working towards. And then the 3-5-2 worked so well, and I think it still fits this group perfectly, and I wouldn't deviate from it. But if they have a second pitch to add to their fastball, it's probably the 4-4-2 tight diamond. So it remains the same. You're just changing a center back for a shuttler in central midfield.
What about Brandon Vasquez?
I'd be shocked if they agreed to a deal for him to leave in the summer, because I don't know what the number would have to be for them to be like, this is too good to pass down. What I could see happening is they agree a deal in the summer for the winter. If I had to guess, I'd assume that'd be the best outcome for all parties, because as you said, Vasquez has talked about it. He wants to go to Europe, and this is kind of the right time for him in his own mind, even though they just signed a contract extension last summer. So since he probably don't feel rushed, but Borussia Mönchengladbach, all that's real. Like their front office was in Nashville when they were playing Nashville. Like they've met with Cincy. There hasn't been an official bid, but it is clear, like heavy interest. And again, I understand if you're Mönchengladbach or any team that's interested in Brandon Vasquez, if you're spending whatever money, so again, they rejected a $7 million bid for Chivas. So let's call it $10 million or give or take. If you're spending that much money on a player in his prime, you absolutely want him right now in the summer. But my assumption is Cincy are going to go into those negotiations with, it's non-negotiable. We can talk now for a winter move, but he's not leaving now. Again, this is all, I can't imagine that they would allow both of the starting center forwards to leave this summer. But again, the winter is my, if I had to place a wager on it, it'd be that he leaves in the winter. Whether they agree the deal in the summer or not, I think that's where the eyes are.
Interesting. Okay. I think we've, some news with Cincinnati there. Let's keep.
Well, but just to throw out, like, we had this conversation. I think you picked them to win Supporters Shield, right? But like, this was always part of it.
Yeah.
This was a team that is in multiple lanes at the same time. They probably came back faster than they expected under Chris Albright and Pat Noonan. So then they accelerated into this conversation. But in the Brenner situation is like, they had to get this value for it, because you talked about how well he played, what he brought for them. There is no more there. And so we kind of always knew they were going to be playing sort of on both of these angles. And we don't really have a great example of that being successful in MLS. I guess LAFC last year is the closest we have of, like, they sold Brian Rodriguez throughout the year. They made a ton of moves, but they had more to work with going into that. Chris Albright's getting there. Getting off Brenner, like at this deal, getting off, I understand wrong term, but like to recoup that means like he's starting at 0 now when he started behind when he took over, and now they've got assets and all these things, and how much they're going to make on Vasquez. Like, that's the money that they lost on Brenner is what they make up in Brandon Vasquez coming in an allocation trade. And now you're talking about $10 million. Like, that's the type of money that you can manage off of. I don't know that they can win Supporter Shield, though, while making all these moves.
But but why not? Brenner has, again, I think he's a very good player and very important to this team. The attack hasn't been great, and they're still picking up all these points. You were talking about why would you even play Brenner if you have Sergio Santos at this point with the transfer going, which I pretty vehemently disagree with. I'd play Brenner until he leaves. But Like it's not like they're barren, and I get that, particularly with a young DP, you can't have unreasonable expectations that they're going to come in on day one and be great. Like if they are, that's awesome, but you cannot be planning for that. So there's going to be a transition period, but that's why you still have Lucho Costa and Brandon Vasquez in the attack. It doesn't it matters less who the third person is, and it makes it easier for that third person to fit in, to get their feet wet. Again, whether it's Sergio Santos or Don Badji's getting games, or it's a young DP or U20 initiative player, you still start with Lucho and Vasquez, and that's a really strong starting point.
I'm just sad that Kalen Carr's not here, given that we've mentioned Don
Don Badji
Badji
live.
many times. And
What about Ray Gaddis? Ray Gaddis is still on the roster.
We'll
too, for that.
get
also-
there. Don't worry.
I also would like to say to Kalen, one of the biggest Brooklyn Nets fans in the world. Like, we're here for you, and I know fully committed to the cause. So we got you, Kalen.
Speaking of all this, sort of hey, we got good. Now we have players with interest from overseas, and we're selling them. We have the transition, and we have the shining light in the midst of all of it. The Revs, they went through this. Had players they sold in the winter, whether it was Buxa, who we'll talk about in a little bit, or
This is a
Dejan
wild
or-
tweet that this was
Yeah.
second in this rundown.
I know.
That's what I was laughing at with you. You're
Or
like,
Matt
oh my
Turner.
God, everyone thinks they're getting good stuff. Now they're in here talking Sunni Sad. This first tweet you put in the rundown transfer segment is about Ben Sweat.
All right. We got we got our sweat on. We're ready. We're warmed up. So Sam Minton hisses up. He does some
Shout
good
out to
stuff in New England. Must follow to get this league in this totality. Says, can you talk about the Revs getting Ben Sweat? And then ask Mr. Scoops about what he's hearing about DeJuan Jones. So we've talked about them getting Ben Sweat. Obviously, KC cut him. They picked him up. It's a depth move, a veteran. A move you might make if maybe DeJuan Jones could be moved in the summer.
I don't have anything to say about them signing Ben Sweat, but with DeJuan Jones,
Boy,
they're-
if DeJuan Jones goes somewhere and their idea is to replace him with Ben Sweat,
this isn't a corresponding move in my mind.
yeah,
This is what I'm saying.
This
Yeah.
is just like, let's get a left-footed
Yeah.
left back, third string, second string, maybe.
Yes.
To soak up a couple of minutes this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So for DeJuan Jones, the interest last summer was real. Stuttgart. There's Anderlecht. There's teams that in Belgium or Netherlands. I think that DeJuan, he's happy in New England. Obviously, he'd be open to a move to Europe, but it's not just I'm gonna jump at anything. I'm not even sure that Anderlecht interested him all that much, which I was a little bit surprised at. But a Bundesliga move, I think, would do it, and it depends on what those offers come in. Like the Stuttgart one, an offer never really came because they were expected to sell their starting left back, and I don't think it ever happened. I'm not super locked into what Stuttgart is up to at the
Come
moment,
on,
so I
Tom.
don't know if
Come
they
on.
have or haven't.
Tom, check
But
your
this
text.
was
Jeez.
this was that's kind of the dominoes that'll happen, and this was what kind of happened with Kai Wagner, where these players are absolutely good enough, but this team needs to sell this player, who needs to buy that, and then that's how these shake out for the players in their kind of range.
Domino.
Yeah, and again, they're not at the top of the food chain.
What? Was that already said?
No, but you said it like it was such a deep term.
No. I just was thinking about what he's saying.
Stay with me here. Domino effect. So again, DeJuan, he's somebody who I could see going to the Bundesliga. But again, it just depends on where the interest.
Domino.
If I don't hear you guys,
We lost Gus.
Oh my God, I can't breathe.
if that's not something that is just said at random times in the show throughout the next 5 years, then I've failed. But I have failed.
Oh, boy.
Is that all you have on DeJuan Jones?
Yes. Do we talk about Ben Sweat
Talk
again?
about Ben Sweat more.
Woo! All right. So you put
Oh,
a
my God.
nice rundown on MLSsoccer.com with 4 teams you think could make a move before the end of the window. NYCFC, Houston Dynamo, LA Galaxy, and DC United. Let's run through those. NYCFC, Bjorn Bellenbaum hits us up and says, talk about the new NYCFC striker. I don't know if we've sort of conjured this from Doyle's column where he's like, hey, U22 spot, they could do it. Is that real? Is something happening?
I would like to hear more about how nice you thought my article was.
It was a great article.
Thank you very much.
It's a must read.
Yeah, it's more, I think, of me and Doyle reading the tea leaves than
Yeah.
me and Doyle knowing who this.
I have nothing at NYCFC. They're a black box.
Well, you talk to Pep once a week, but
Right,
he's
yeah.
not focused on it.
we give each other, hairstyle.
Shaving-
tips.
shaving
Flips on
advice.
Bic.
Doyle
You guys
wrote
wear the
this-
same sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Doyle wrote a joke in his column. He just deduced all of the things that I agree with, and he's spot on. He ended it with all I'm saying is you should have Tommy Scoops' notifications turned on. And since we
Which was
published
the only fact in all of it, I think.
since we published that column, there's so many NYCFC fans I met. It's like, oh, it's Tuesday at 2:11 p.m. and Tom hasn't announced anything. Tom, what do you know? What's going on? And I was like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Like, I read it too.
No, the idea is that NYCFC, who have been very good and very aggressive about using that global CFG scouting group, they've been very good at finding talented young South Americans and bringing them
really good, yeah.
to the Bronx. And they already had one U22 slot open. They opened up another by loaning out.
Domino's.
You got it.
Okay,
You
it's
got it.
Domino.
I was waiting for an
Yeah,
opening. I wasn't even listening.
I thought we could at least get to like 20 minutes. I was like, just wait for the right moment. You do it in the
my
right
God.
moment.
Would you already argue what you deduced were the dominoes?
The domino effect of loaning Thiago Andrade. Like,
Domino.
and right now they have a
Oh,
kid by the
God.
name of Gabe Siegel playing center forward, and he was like a decent college.
But if you pronounce it Seagal, he improves.
no, he does not. No.
He's been good,
Like,
though. And again,
he's-
like what you wrote in your column, the best part about him is it allows Talis Magno to play
right,
left wing. It's great.
and like he's very good in the press.
Yep.
You know, he clearly knows the rotations to hit, and
True
that matters a
Stanford
lot to
He's
to
clearly
Nick
an MLS
Cushing.
quality player.
Yeah.
which I wasn't necessarily. Like, we
He's-
didn't know that 100% when he was signed.
Right.
Like, he's clearly
What
a
he is
rotation type
not, I don't think, is a goal scorer. And like, okay, you can live with a 8 or 9 goal a year type of center forward if you have really elite wingers and midfielders, and I think they do. But like even 8 or 9 might be a little bit beyond him. And what I have deduced, and the domino effect of loaning Thiago Andrade out, is that like I expect NYCFC is doing something.
Me too.
I think there's going to be some sort of $3 or $4 million Brazilian, Uruguayan, 19-year-old striker who comes in by Monday, and that's why I have Tom's Twitter notifications flicked on
That is
my
the
phone.
domino effect of that.
That's it.
I'm just gonna start tweeting about the Knicks.
We
So
got
everybody
it.
who have my notifications on are like, Jesus
How do you
Christ.
feel about the first 2 games? 'Cause David's like, it's
got the
house
split,
money.
baby. That's
It's
all we
fine.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the split.
Okay.
All right, sorry. Back to already done enough digression. But yeah, so NYCFC, David Lee told me this at the end of the 2021 season by the U22 initiative, their sporting director. This was clear for us it was going to be the strategy. There was never any consideration to add 2 senior DPs because we knew we wanted to add 3 players in the U22 initiative category. We firmly believed it'd be a help long-term building a strong roster for this year and years to come. I've spoken to other sporting directors who have said just flat out to me, again, whether they're big spending clubs, air quote, or small spending clubs, it's like, I don't know why all teams don't use all 3 U22 initiative slots just from a budget standpoint. So NYCFC are in that firm belief. So it would be surprising if they went into the summer with 2 open spots rather than 1. And again, like you said, Gabe Siegel's the only natural center forward on the roster.
Yeah.
And they've pushed away from
The
having
Talis Magno thing did not work.
Yeah. And we were saying this for over the past year. Like, and again, at least that it seems like they're kind of realizing that. And I would assume that they're whether they get a deal done or not.
And just to explain the math of Tom, what Tom just said, for budget reasons, the U22 initiative slots make so much sense because no matter how much you spend on the kid and what you're paying him in salary up to, I think, max.
The senior max.
It hits at $150,000. So if you have all 3 of those slots filled, you're only spending $450,000 against the cap on what are ostensibly 3 very high upside kids.
450,000. Brandon Servania is somebody who makes 450,000.
Right.
Like, that's the name that comes. So like
And
that's,
he's a good
you
player,
could
but
have-
it's like,
you
yeah.
could have 3 of those.
You have
Yeah.
3 of those, and if you're using a young DP as one of the DP slots, that only hits at $200,000. Well, could be a little bit more depending on age. So it's just a way of managing within your roster budget. It's a way of getting more talent in there at a number that gives you flexibility to then go out and spend a ton of gam and tam on veterans. And hey, that's what John Thornton has done for LAFC. Everybody's like, how does LAFC always have so much, room under the cap? It's because like a bunch of their best players only hit the cap at 150,000. It's right there in the rule book.
Domino.
I'll be quicker
Just
on
trying to
these
break
next
this
ones.
before it can ever get started.
We gotta get
Yeah,
we gotta get an ETR themed domino set
probably
made,
do.
and we gotta go sit out front
Sponsors.
in Harlem and play. But just the one pushback would be there's a limit to what one of the 3 DPs can be. They either have to be young
Right.
or at a low number. So if a team has 3 robust designated players,
New England.
then they don't have those under 22 spots open to them. It works for them because those 3 players are really good. So there is other
like
ways.
Giacomo Vrioni, like really,
Just
really
absolute game changers.
good.
New England, by the way, is also kind of making up for this with some homegrown players that are coming through at this point, and also some guys they picked up in trades. We'll talk about those in a little bit in
Classic
this
youth
segment.
developing New England
I
revolution.
know, just churning them out. Houston Dynamo. A lot of people asking, including Gooblin HTX, about Houston's plan for the number 9 going forward. Are there rumors of Sebas moving? If so, who could we potentially bring in? Right now, Sebas Ferreira, their leading goal scorer in 2022, is not the preference, let's say, of Ben Olsen.
They could use Kai Kamara. There's just one of 5 teams that could use Kai Kamara.
True.
He plays
True.
for Chicago.
What would you hear about the Dynamo?
They are working to bring in a U22 initiative attacker in before Monday's deadline. They've been, and close isn't the right word, but this has been, they've been targeting it. It might come down to the wire. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't get done, but that's kind of their last chip that they want to play right now and then reassess in the summer. I'm not sure, again, if it's going to get done. The last I heard this morning, as I was missing a subway because I was too busy doing all the reporting and everything.
Welcome to New York City.
Do you know what I miss is doing it from my living room while we're doing you don't miss subways there.
Welcome to the city, baby.
But I love
Underground. You don't get service down there.
Yeah.
Nope.
And that's why I couldn't jump on the train.
Nope.
Anyway, last I heard was that they're getting closer, but it might come down to the wire. So again, that's going to be one that we keep checking in on.
But Tom, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly. How about the Galaxy?
The Galaxy, it's obvious because their restrictions get intensified in the summer, in which they cannot bring in any players from abroad.
Right. They can still make moves for like good, solid starters in MLS on teams above the playoff line. Guys like, say, Dave Romney or Daniel Steeris. Guys like that would really help the LA Galaxy.
If you're an opposing GM this summer and the Galaxy come to you and like, would you like to trade for this guy? Are you like, tack on a couple hundred extra K here, man?
I think they come in with the FC Cincinnati trade scale from first year and they go, oh, you want this guy? We're on the air haggling
You travel
scale.
overseas and like, the other menu is for you. So, you know what I mean?
The conversion rate.
Exactly.
You know what it would be? Domino's.
That's the Domino.
The pizza. The last reports were that they're in talk. That I can confirm they were in talks with Rapid Vienna for Marco Gruel is the winger. So I don't know if that deal is going to get done or not, but they're trying to sign a winger, and again, almost definitely from international. We'll see what gets done or not, but like the days are running out. If we had this conversation on March 1st, I would have said, yeah, these exact things, maybe not that exact because they were in talks with the Brazilian player who went to Bahia, the City Football Group Brazilian club, but they're working on getting a winger in from the international market.
Do you think Douglas Costa will be on the roster?
Yeah, because there were reports 3 weeks ago that the pre-red card, so maybe it's changed since then, but there was reports coming out of Brazil that turned out to be erroneous, that he was getting bought out and signing somewhere in Brazil. And I was told, now, not only is this not true, like we're not having those talks. Again, this was a few weeks ago. Maybe things have changed, but it doesn't look like.
Well, Coachella's second weekend is this weekend, so he has to stick around.
Is he suspended this weekend too? Genuine.
I think it was
I don't
one
know
game.
for that violent conduct.
He's going back to the
he
disco.
He made his best effort.
You guys really need to set a precedent and suspend me this week.
Yeah, I think Brenner Boy's performing this weekend, so you got to get out there.
Oh, that sounds like a good show.
It does sound like a good show.
Yeah, good show. And then after the disappointment, obviously, with Frank Ocean, it's like you gotta go back.
Frank Ocean
the second weekend.
Yeah.
DC. Vikas Minderetta hit us up and said, hey, could they keep O'Brien if Forrest gets relegated? Is there anything? I think I read somewhere that maybe the number goes down to make that permanent if Forrest gets relegated.
Yeah, I've seen that report. I haven't had that confirmed. That'd be interesting subset of that deal. But again, the larger point of while it was an opportunistic deal, short term, help no matter what. Yeah, you get him in the door, and then you hope, if it works out for both parties, that you could find a solution for him to stay. Because he wasn't playing with Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest signed about 47 players, and he was one of them, and didn't break in. He wasn't even registered for the Premier League because they had so many people to register. Again, and if he's playing every week here, maybe that there's some wiggle room. If that purchase option is lower, if they get relegated, that'd be really useful for them to fit him under the cap and to fit him with the cap machinations. They are looking to add another player over the next few days. They've been, like, I think Rooney even talked about it in a press conference a couple weeks ago that they were working with targets. Like, I was told they had a few offers out and trying to get a deal over the line. Again, that's going to be one to keep checking in on over the next few days.
Imagine going from Nottingham Forest to Cherry Blossom season in DC. How could you ever go anywhere else?
Sign the contract right there.
Yeah. That's the pitch.
Anything else in this window before we get retrospective here that's sort of percolating that might be interesting?
Two more. Nashville acquired an international slot today. It's funny, when I was reading the initial report, I thought that they traded it because every time there's a transaction involving an international slot with Nashville, they're trading it. They're getting the allocation money. So they would not be trading for an international spot.
Just to have one.
Yeah, just to have it. Just to resell it in the summer if they wanted to, just because they want to keep on moving around. No, so I'm definitely expecting that someday.
Why?
Why
would Nashville?
And maybe Gary Smith said that they were thinking about reinforcing in defense after Nick DePuy's injury. Sorry, so maybe that's where they're talking about. I don't know.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. That would be the most
we had
Nashville
multiple
thing.
Nashville fans in
It's
the
gonna be
mentions for this.
it's gonna be a USL
give us
center
help.
back.
Give Hani help.
It's going to be an
Ask Tom.
international USL center back.
So I want to point out, I'm not saying that for 100% certainty that it is going to be a center back, but again, I will say they didn't trade for an international slot for no reason. So that's a team to watch over the next 2 days. And then one more, the last one is Charlotte. It came out this morning while I was on the subway coming out here that they've had a couple bids rejected by Shamrock Rovers for our Irish attacker, Jack Byrne. To give their burn count at 2. This is a player that they tried to sign him ahead of their expansion season when he was in Cyprus and it wasn't going well. He ended up going back to Shamrock. Christian Latanzio is somebody that knows him and would be kind of pushing for this. They're hopeful that it gets over the line, and it seems like he's out of contract at the end of the season, and the Shamrock Rovers manager is talking about this publicly. It sounds like he's kind of resigned to losing this player. So again, that'll be one to watch.
I would argue
Just
currently
locked
in the
into Shamrock
world,
Rovers coverage
you are
person.
one of the people who knows. You're one of the top 75 people who knows about the Shamrock Rovers. I don't think anyone goes to those games. I saw this report this morning from the Irish side
Yeah.
of like 2 bids have come in, blah, blah, blah. And it felt like one of those things where you're like, yeah, for sure. Me too. You know? I can't believe we're talking about Shamrock Rovers and not Sunni Saad right now.
And I know his contract status because of Football Manager. He's a good out of contract player to get up to. A good set piece taker according to FM. I don't know if he's like that in real life though.
All right, let's do the retrospective.
Get a close up on Doyle.
Doyle's been checked out of this one for a hot minute right here. What's the best move of this window, Domino? What's the best move of the window, Doyle? You could choose the entire St. Louis roster.
Wait, for an MLS or for Shamrock Rovers?
Football Manager. Who would be your top Football Manager signing?
Do you think Silgo has a chance this season?
Sligo.
Sligo? Is that how you pronounce that?
Oh boy. What's the best move of this window?
Trading up to draft Duncan McGuire. All the geniuses are doing it.
That's right. I mean, that's part of the best offseason in Major League Soccer by Orlando City. Which, if you would like
Josh's
to take
head
that,
is gonna
if
explode.
you just want to take all of Orlando City, Dave, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, can I read you the Oscar Pereira quote again? It takes a while to put teams together and have them be good.
Yeah, no, but sounds like he's a believer.
He is a believer.
In the David Goss theorem.
He absolutely is. It's just the fact that Orlando's already has a trophy this year is just ridiculous. Like, imagine the domino effect of being able to play from a trophy as the offseason champions, appointed by Tom Bogert. And
You're over-indexing domino at this point.
Woo. Do you have a real one, Doyle, or is Duncan McGuire your
Hey,
real
first
one?
of all,
it's like, for the love of God.
The Duncan McGuire one, like that's going to turn
played
into
like
a
180
really.
minutes.
Yeah, he scores every time he's on the field. Tom, come on, man.
Are you
He's
related
awesome.
to him?
No, it's fine. It's the Carlos Greza signing. Like this was like, okay, the Quakes are a serious club now. Like they've made a lot of good moves under Chris Leach, especially since they were able to ease Matias Almeida out of any decision-making responsibility. Like once they stopped saying our transfer policy is to sign Matias Almeida's former players, like they've made a lot of good moves. But the Greza one was like, if you're going to be a team that develops and sells young players, you have to give them a foundation. You have to give them the chance to be successful, and having a 27-year-old like rock solid defensive midfield, like that raises your floor so high, and that makes it so that kids like Cade Cowell play better, and hopefully Nico Sakiris, when he gets healthy again, he'll play better, and then Cruz Medina in a couple of years when he gets on the field, he'll play better. So it was just like, okay, the Quakes are a serious soccer club. The Quakes are like, they're not just trying to make up the numbers or whatever. Like they're trying to win, and they have a clear idea of how they want to develop their players. That was the best move of the offseason.
Yeah, Matias Almeida, not a serious person in Major League Soccer.
Logan Roy would be unimpressed by Matias Almeida's style.
All right, Dave, you've left yours blank in the rundown. I've given you a list and potential assignments that you've eschewed in favor of your own path.
I don't really have one. One of my theories was to name all the people you were going to say. But I'm going to go with the Revs' general vibe of bringing in Latif and Dave Romney and not over-indexing from the...
Just so you know, those names are on my list in addition to Bobby Wood, who you have not claimed as your own.
No, I'm not saying Bobby Wood. You can keep that one.
It is like learning what worked for LAFC last year because, like, obviously Bouanga and Bale and the big moves that they made to get all the headlines and even this year, bringing in Timothy Tillman was turning out to be a very, very good move. But what propelled LAFC from missing the playoffs in 21 to like starting to really run away with the Shield throughout the first half of last season? Every move they made was an inter-MLS move. Every move they made was getting guys who were available to literally anyone in the league, getting them to come to LAFC. That's how John Thornton remade that team and remade that roster. And Bruce Arena kind of took a page from that book by going out and getting guys like Latif and Romney.
It's his book. That's Bruce Arena's book. Just go back to all of their previous acquisitions. It was not just around the league. It was Galaxy guys.
Yeah, but with the Galaxy, he would bring in his Stefan Ishizaki, Mickey Varnanen guy every year.
I'm saying, no. Look
Burchell. Oh, you're saying at the Revs bringing AJ and Ema.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work very well.
No, but I'm saying it's like, John Thornton invented this. Like we were giving crap to the Revs and Bruce Arena for this a couple years ago. It's like, wow, look at him. He learned from John Thornton.
Theory. Bobby Wood is LAFC's Marco Arena. Domino.
But Doyle made my point for me, which was
running it into the ground in 20 minutes.
Well, we got Weeby here. I mean, it never stood a chance.
I haven't even got to make one of these jokes yet.
I just think to not overcorrect and saying like to not give up on the guys you brought in last year, which I think is really big, and to still believe that Heel and Boo and those guys are the same guys from 2 years ago. And so I thought they played that middle ground really well. Bringing Latif in has helped Matt Polster a ton. I didn't realize Dave Romney would be the locked-in starter, even for what they gave up for him.
Yeah,
I still didn't assume he was.
They didn't give up that much.
$500,000.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Okay, fair,
but trade. It was a really good trade by the Reds.
But you assume if you give up $500,000, you're getting a start.
Well, and remember, it's $500,000 and also a new contract.
Yeah.
So that's part of the math on that as well, because Romney wanted a new deal. Okay, I'll throw it to you here, Tommy Scoops.
I'm going to go with James Sands.
No, you're supposed to say Giacomakis and ruin his whole list.
I still have more. I always have a secondary list. If you thought I wouldn't, then you don't.
On a second rundown.
Exactly.
He's got a secret family.
No, James Sands, it was just a really good move. Again, it was a loan that ended, but they had to keep him, and with a new contract and with hey, we'll play you at 6. These are what we're laying out. This is why coming back here is the best for your career. Like, again, I think that this was the best acquisition for this team. It frees up Keaton Parks to play a little bit further up the field, and I've liked that.
I mean, we literally saw it last week with that goal. He like at the start of the season, he doesn't get to make that run.
Exactly, and I understood the thought of him playing deeper as kind of the ball progressor, the press resistance, and all that. But like when you have a destroyer in James Sands behind you, it just opens up the game and gives you more freedom. And I really do like that move because of the way that it's opened up things for the midfielders, for the players around him. Like, I'm not sure if you can play Richie Ledesma in central midfield without somebody like James Sands playing behind you. Alfredo Morales, it's unfortunate for him because I think that he's a starting quality player in this league, and it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to get minutes, and it's helped shield the back line. Number 6 are force multipliers for me, and I know that Doyle shares this vision. He's talking about Gruezo rather than goal scorers here, and I'm talking about James Sands. So, again, I think that's every kind of championship caliber team needs a player like that.
I appreciate that Dave took the bait on my Revs list here. You did not take Georgios Giacomakis, and that's going to be my pick. I think that when you listen to Garth Lagerwey talk about how you build a team and how he thinks about building a team. He always talks about that in prime guy that you can build around. Same as Gruezo, et cetera, force multiplier. Giakoumakis is his first big foray in Atlanta, and it seemed to have worked out really well. 4 goals so far. He's injured, probably out this weekend, but just looks like a guy that for the next 3, 4, 5 years is just going to hoover up goals for them as they cycle through U22s or other pieces around him. So thought that one's a really good one. Then under the radar, Christian Ramirez. Don't think you're going to jump in before I can get a pick.
I was going to go
Don't even
Giakoumakis.
think that you can get in.
I think that he is a force multiplier too because of everything we've said. It opens the game up for Thiago Almada. It makes everything so much easier because he's
So the real move
The
that's
domino.
what started the domino effect that allowed them to get Giakoumakis was getting rid of Moreno. Right?
Yeah.
it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me because he only hit the budget at 200,000. How is that? Like, because Marcy Moreno was supposed to hold their third DP spot because of the way that if you loan a player out, but you spent a transfer fee for him, they still kind of count against your cap because of the transfer fee. It's all in the weeds and stuff. And I don't know how the difference here was just a U22.
It's a strange one, and I wish it were less opaque. I wish we, they opened the books and showed us how.
Garth will probably just call in and explain.
Yeah, exactly. First time, long time.
Yeah.
We got the capability set up.
Honestly,
Starting on
though,
Monday.
it's like the Gruezo thing where it's like, okay, serious soccer club move. Where it's like we got a signing wrong. Marcy Moreno's a talented player. I think like the Rapids should have gone after him or something like that. I think he could be really good. But he made Atlanta worse because he clogged up where Thiago Almada needed, and like he didn't make the runs that he needed to make. And it was a serious soccer club move to be like, okay, we're going to take the L. We're going to eat the contract to a certain degree on this one so that we could open up a DP slot and bring in a striker like Giakoumakis and get a left winger like either Etienne or Caleb Wiley out there who don't need the ball, who can stretch the field, and who could be force magnifiers for the force magnifier.
You guys have really over-indexed that.
Yeah, it's getting beaten into
This is coming up swinging today.
Exactly. All right, let's look ahead to the summer. Doobie asks us to preview the potential big summer signings, and yes, talk about Messi just a little bit, but don't dwell on it. Dustin asks who Thorrington might target for a summer DP move, and I also know you have some stuff on Sifu and Opoku, so if you want to hit that, you can, and maybe get your big picture thoughts on the summer window that is a ways away, but of course, teams are preparing.
Yeah, I mean, Messi's got to be the first mention. It'd be disingenuous to not. We'll see if that goes down. I think, Miami have been positive. The reports that came out of Europe in December claiming that it was all agreed for him to stay at PSG. Those have been backtracked pretty heavily.
We move on those.
Yeah, so we'll again, from what I had heard from around that time, everybody's very confident, and some of the phrases I've heard from a lot of people around the league is it's when, not if. And I know Miami are positioning it to Messi as it's got to be now. Hey, this deal's not going to be on the table. It's only this summer. It's a special deal, all this stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm very hopeful. Even just taking my fan hat on, it'd be phenomenal to have him in the league. So yeah, any start to talk about the summer transfer window that isn't starting with Lionel Messi is disingenuous. But I'll keep it quick here with Jose Cifuentes. He's out of contract after the season. There's a possibility that LAFC could say, all right, like we'll recoup something. Give us $3 million for him. He's yours now, right? And Leeds have looked into it. Rangers have looked into it. About 100 clubs should be looking into this. He's an Ecuador international rising talent. He's got the physicality to play in a lot of different leagues. He's got the technical ability to play a lot of different leagues. So like interest can be a loose term, and I understand that. But a player coming out of contract at this age, at this profile, at this ability, 100 teams should be looking at it. And I'm sure that they are, but the ones that I know would be Leeds, Rangers, and some others.
How about Opoku?
Same thing. A lot of teams have called, in the winter, a couple MLS teams made trade offers to try to take him off of LAFC. Montreal was a team that was trying. Dallas was a team that was interested as well. And right now, Bordeaux in France are a team that's kind of registered. They're interested. They're trying to get promoted back to Ligue 1. And there are teams in like Belgium and the Netherlands, which caps what the transfer fee might be because the money isn't the same there as it is in the Premier League or somewhere else. So I'm interested to see what happens. LAFC don't want to lose them. Just because teams are interested doesn't mean that you're trying to get rid of them. So again, we'll see what happens there.
So Taylor Twellman had an interesting tweet the other day about Adam Buxa potentially coming back to MLS, maybe on loan. It's not worked out really for him in France. A lot of it down to injury, plagued by ankle injuries. He's missed a ton of games. He's really only played, I think, 4 for loans and none as a starter. Give me a couple of spots, Doyle, where you think he could land that would be interesting.
Well, I mean, who needs a 9, right? Houston comes to mind. I know that we talked on Monday about how Adrian Heath would really like to get in a high-scoring, reliable number
Minnesota
9.
would be a good one.
Proper target forward too, mate.
Proper
That'd be
target
perfect.
forward. He doesn't fit for LAFC. I think he would be very good there, but LAFC have all 3 U22 initiative slots filled. So whatever third DP they're bringing in either has to be below the max TAM hit or a young DP. So I don't think Buxa would be able. I don't think an MLS team would be able.
Could you get him on loan in the sense you pay like we're going to pay just enough to get us under the threshold?
Yeah, I mean that like
But you'd have to have the
purchase
option.
and then, but LAFC have done that before, where we'll figure it out later. Like genuinely, like they
they just assume you'll retire and go play golf, so they don't have to worry about it.
But a quick tangent is that
LAFC, LA Country Club.
Yakumakis was Atlanta originally had the deal structured that it was a loan, and the purchase obligation was just so light that it was pretty much a permanent transfer. But they were trying to work the cap gymnastics, and like the league said no, like that we're not going to do that. And it wasn't just Atlanta. A couple of the other MLS teams that were interested in Yakumakis, they were told he has to be a DP. If that's what the purchase clause is the auto trigger is like he plays a handful of games or whatever. Like no, like you're not getting around the rules, and we're not setting that precedent.
Nashville with Adam Buxa.
That's a good call.
Basically played the same role with New
But
England.
they still have they still have all 3 filled. Like Ake Loba still counts as a DP, and now that he's injured in Mexico, it's not like Mazatlan are going to buy him.
No, they are not.
Man, tough. That one's tough. All right, maybe one more here on the transfer front. Kai Wagner. We've talked about him with you over and over and over and over, and it doesn't look like his move is going to materialize. So then what?
He's out of contract. There had been after the season. There have been talks with Philly and Kai Wagner. It seems to me that barring pretty drastic changes, he's going to at least enter free agency at when his contract ends, and then see what happens. Philly love him. I know the coaching staff would love to keep him. The front office, I'm sure, would as well. Kai really loves it in Philly. He was courtside at the Sixers game. I was very jealous of his seats. I'll say that much. He was.
Sorry, Kalen Carr.
Yeah.
Another tough Brooklyn Nets loss.
But he's been talking about wanting to go back to Europe for a couple of years, and Philly haven't been trying to stand in his way for the last probably 12 months, or it's at least 6 months, and just offers haven't come. So maybe that changes if he's a free agent rather than somebody you need to acquisition costs into. But yeah, it's pretty fluid right now, and I would really assume that he's at least going to get to free agency, barring a real big offer from Philly.
Here's my long-term take. Vancouver is going to max him out. They love spending money on a fullback. They could play him, Julian Gressel in center mid, Lewis Martin. I mean, they could have 15 of them.
Who's the Iraqi international that they made?
Ali Adnan.
Yeah. He was a DP left back.
One of the great MLS moves that never happened was Vancouver tried to trade their problem of Ali Adnan to Miami to take on Miami's problem, Matias Pellegrini, when they had one too many DPs. That would have been just a classic intra-MLS move.
NYCFC starter, Matias Pellegrini.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Good nugget there.
You can't keep him down.
Speaking of free agents in Philly, Jim Curtin's contract is tick-tock coming up. Jay Sugarman, the owner, said that they are going to make sure they get that figured out before the contract runs out, but it seems interesting that he still doesn't have an extension.
It's insane to me that we're April 19th and Jim Curtin is still an expiring contract. If this was April 19th, 2022, I'd say it's pretty crazy, but I'm sure that they'll figure it out in the summer. Then they didn't, and then they got to MLS Cup. They were tied for the Supporters Shield, and they still didn't. I thought that would be the first thing after you take a couple of days off. I just don't understand how it's come to this point. It doesn't make any sense. It's undervaluing Jim Curtin. It's blatantly disrespectful to the work that he's done to over the last 5-6 years. They've been in tandem with the front office and the coaching staff. They've worked very, very well together, and you don't want to kind of separate and try to assign exact amount of credit to whatever. Like, this is a great thing that both parties have going, and I don't know why they haven't taken care of their club legend head coach.
Put a ring on it. Come on. Like, we've been sitting around. Put a ring on it.
Like, you run the risk of, if he wasn't such a Philly guy, you'd run the risk, like, another person might be like, screw you. Like, I'm not even going to talk now. Like, I'm going to just go somewhere else. And, oh, you think that you can replace me? Like, again, I don't know. It's just, when you have a coach like this, when you have things that are going so well as they are, both from performance to development and all of that, again, the front office has done a phenomenal job at supplying that talent. Just keep a good thing going. I don't get it.
Got so excited I heard the swishing from the jacket. That's a good segment right there. Love it. All right, match day 9. We spent a ton of time on transfers, but it's been a good time. Watchability rankings. We all chose a team that we're enjoying watching right now. None of us chose LAFC, so apologies to the black and gold before you get crazy in our mentions. We like watching you as well, but you didn't get picked. Dave, start us off. Who you like watching right now?
I'm enjoying Atlanta United. I thought they were really fun to watch in Toronto this weekend. They did it without Thiago Almada. They might have to do it without Giacomakis this week, but I thought that was the best game Luis Araujo's played probably in his Atlanta career. Had an assist, but he's making the right decisions right now. You add Derek Etienne on the other side. Chol comes off the bench, scores a goal. This is the most cohesive they've looked as a group under Gonzalo Pineda. So if you bring Thiago Almada back into that team, I think it's less everyone stands around and hopes Almada does something special. I think there's a lot more already built in right now. So if he and Giacomakis are healthy, I think they're must watch. But anyway, I think they're really fun. And then in this weekend, they play Chicago, which Brian Gutierrez is must watch in Major League Soccer. Shaqiri might be back in. So it's been, they give up goals, so they're entertaining. And I think that's going to be a really fun matchup.
Doyle, who you got?
The Quakes. The Quakes are under Lucci. They're doing a lot of stuff right. They're not shooting themselves in the foot or the face the way they used to under previous managers.
Vivid.
And they're like, it's not just eliminating mistakes. It's they have really good ideas going forward. I think their final third patterns are getting better. In Christian Espinoza, they have like a best 11 caliber, potential dark horse MVP candidate.
I don't think it's dark horse.
I mean, come on, it's
The Lewis Morgan of the West.
Yeah, there you go.
but he's been good for several years, but he definitely, like, he's more goal dangerous now. And Abobas, he scored 17, 18 goals last year and had a little bit of a slump, but broke out of it last week. And then with Sakarius getting closer, like, he's a really high upside young player, really enjoyable to watch. He'll start getting minutes hopefully in the next couple of weeks here. They're at RSL this weekend. RSL games are always fun for one reason or another. Like, this is one I'm going to be focused on pretty hard on Saturday night.
Tom, what do you got?
Columbus Crew. I wasn't sure how quickly Wilfred Natse was going to make this team super watchable and get them to the point that he had.
They're the most fun team to watch in the league right now. Yeah.
And for better and worse too, because they have defensive fallibilities, and that makes the game play open. They are, even on the road against the Red Bulls, they're trying to play out and through the press.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
So brave.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
It's so sarcastic.
I'm sorry, that's just my voice. It's like the old Kids in the Hall sketch. No, I'm so sorry.
No, but they have watchability just because they try to play really well. And again, they're not locked down defensively, so even in a bad way, their watchability goes up too. So again, I'm very impressed. We've spoken a ton about this team over the first 9 weeks of the season, so I don't have much more to add.
Yeah, would love to see Cucho get going to add another element for our personal enjoyment, but not for
Dave's Golden Boot team.
No, certainly not for that.
Cucho's going over.
Man knows how to rock a bag though. He always
he's looking
looks
good up there.
good.
He's looking good in the boxes.
Yeah.
He's cheering on the goals.
Kevin Molino's like, "Oh, we sit up here. I'll show you where to sit."
Oh no!
Oh no!
Sorry, Kev.
Oh, man. Second course comes out after halftime.
Yeah.
They always have these drinks.
If you want the real sugar cookies, they're around the corner.
Oh, good. At Charlotte this weekend, who also have a habit of giving up a lot of goals and are starting to score them. So that could be entertaining. Bank of America Stadium, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Of course, all these games on MLS Season Pass. I am going to take the Colorado No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Rapids, but I'm taking St. Louis City SC.
Who are playing the Colorado Rapids.
Unnecessary to Colorado Rapids there.
I have been like the lone supporter of the Rapids in these parts for more than a month now.
True extra time fan would know that, Tom.
Yeah,
come on.
That doesn't change anything. It's still unnecessary.
They know I love them, Tom. They know. St. Louis City, just the sort of collective nature of what they're doing. And we made a joke of it like before the season started. And I understand why we did that, because we didn't think that maybe the talent level was up to snuff. But all those guys that were sort of like, oh, that's kind of that's a squad player, are right now playing like a locked in MLS starter quality player, scoring a ton of goals. The press just makes it interesting, but it's not just the press for them. I think they can sort of go into a different gear if they have to. And it's just fun. Whether it's at their stadium, whether it's away, like the vibes are immaculate. And when I turn on a game, I want to see smiles. I want to see guys trying. I want to see guys like playing at at a level that I didn't think was possible, and shoving it back in my face, basically. So it's
Also,
it's
are
been
we
fun.
getting invited to a James Beard level dinner?
So I figured it out. He did all the food. The guy that had all the pizza boxes we talked about on the last show. He did all the food for the stadium.
Okay.
He was delivering pizza to the supporters section, which is why he had like
What a
12 or
legend.
15 pies.
So does he want us to come to a dinner? Because
David,
I
have you
Okay.
had a St. Louis style pizza?
I don't think-
Provel?
I have
To be
probably
fair, I
had
don't
it in
think
my
those
life,
were
but
St.
it's
Louis
not a
style.
thing that I
Yeah.
acknowledge.
It
really.
what like I'd heard bad things about it. It's not bad. Like it's really weird. It's different. Like they have their own special cheese that you could only get in St. Louis.
What was the name of the?
Provel.
Yeah.
I've had good food in St. Louis.
It's
I've
the cheese
enjoyed
that
myself.
shall not be named.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find a camera to look in and discuss.
So,
So Thomas and Ron.
Honestly, St. Louis barbecue blew me away. St. Louis barbecue I thought was so good. But their other food in St. Louis is essentially a
The toasted
pizza.
ravioli.
It's a pizza roll, right? It's a
Yeah.
pizza roll. They're like, this is our cuisine. It's a special thing you can only like. That's a pizza roll.
We fried ravioli. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, we're going to get you to this Kevin Paredes interview, but first, a list. The best 22 under 22 players so far in Major League Soccer. If somebody would like to do some dramatic musical renditions or just we could do that. Any thoughts you have, I'll pause after each, and you could give a nugget or not. Caleb Wiley on our early list of 22 under 22 players that have stood out. Been really good in Atlanta, obviously. Brian Gutierrez. It's been a little slow after a hot start when he replaced Shaqiri.
It has not been slow.
I
He looks
don't think it's been slow.
awesome.
He's
Well,
been
the
really
box score production.
Okay, well, stop looking at the stats and watch the games.
Okay, fair.
There's only 15 a weekend. He has been awesome. And the key with him, which is why it's going to be interesting with Shaqiri, is it's not just he's a decent attacking presence. He is a pace setter right now.
Correct.
They play through him. He plays you out of pressure. He is everything you want at that position. I have no idea how Shaqiri gets back into the team alongside him, but you cannot move him the way he's playing.
I agree, and he's not as effective on the wing. So could we see Shaqiri on the wing? Ezra's got some issues to work out there. I have Yerson Mosquera in this
It's
list.
been very good.
Really good.
For
signing.
Is he going to
Cincinnati?
stay for the year?
They can extend the loan through the season, so they're
Cool.
going to do that.
Is there a
and then
purchase option?
There is not, because Wolves really rate him highly, but Cincinnati has a U22 initiative slot.
Okay. Speaking of that spot or similar players that occupy one, Kerwin Vargas.
I wish.
Kerwin Vargas was a
He
question
has
mark last
not
year.
performed
You don't think
at
so?
the level you'd like,
It's been
but
better
he
this year.
is electric when the 7 seconds he's on every other game are awesome. And if it's more consistent, it would be great. He clearly is the answer for them on the wing.
Aiden Morris is still eligible.
He's probably leading the 22 under 22
Yep.
race at this point.
Yeah.
And he makes it by like a week.
I think who picked it? Did we pick him as a collective preseason? I don't remember even how we did preseason.
I think I had
predictions.
Dylan Barrero, I think, and he's
Okay.
probably second in that. in the
We have
list.
Dylan Barrero on this list next,
As we
alongside
should,
Noel
yeah.
Buck.
As we should.
They're very good.
I didn't have Noel Buck this high. He's been like the biggest surprise of any of the super young kids. I think even more than Caleb. Now, Caleb Wiley's been a big surprise, being that effective in attack. But like Noel Buck looks like a veteran.
Yeah.
But now he might have lost his job because Latifah's back. We'll see.
Miguel Perez would be on that list as well, right? Came out of
St.
nowhere
Louis.
in my mind,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
2 starts.
I mean, really good, but Buck is
100%. But Buck has more pro
Yeah.
experience
and
coming into it.
I'll mention Owen Wolf as well. He's been very good.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good
Like
call.
the
Yeah,
only
he's been really good.
the only really like silver lining right now for Austin is that Owen Wolf and Danny Pereira together in central midfield, like that looks like a very good combo for a long time.
Anders says that we have to go fast because we have a reservation for fried chicken in
Because
K-Town.
Weeby has to get back to New Jersey.
It's not the only reason. Cade Cal, Juan David Mosquera, Andres Gomez, and Josh Atencio round
I've never
out our
eaten dinner at
list.
5:30 before in my life, so
I've extended it to 6, okay?
Okay.
So we have a clip here from a Kevin Paredes interview that Jonathan Siegel did at MLSsoccer.com. You can read the full story there, but these are sort of, we plucked what we thought were very good answers that you would be interested in out of it. Hearing about his transfer, how it happened, how it developed, a very personal story from Kevin, how he settled in Germany, and which young player is next at DC United. Enjoy.
Yeah, I think I was just finishing up preseason training, and my agent calls, and he just tells me there's a couple teams interested, and and he mentioned Wolfsburg, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. You know, Bundesliga. You know, I would never expect that. You know, yeah, I just finished up training, and then I remember getting in my car. He calls me. And I try to keep it calm, you know, so that, you know, that I've been through these things like a professional. But as soon as I hung up the call, I was screaming in my car, and I immediately called my parents, my mom and dad, and my brothers, saying there was really good interest from there, and yeah, we were very happy. And when you know the deal finally finalized, I remember I went to my parents' room. I was actually in the house, the apartment of Jacob Green, Moses Nyman, and Jeremy Gure. When I got the call from DC and Wolfsburg saying it was finalized, I was in the I was just chilling with them, and also Griffin. I was just chilling with them for the day, and you know, they called me and said it's finalized, and I came back into the room. I left the room at the time when I took the call. I came back into the room, and I just came up with a smile, and the boys already knew what happened, and yeah, we all celebrated together. We were all happy together, and then probably 10 minutes later, I went back home. I got my family together because they didn't know yet, and yeah, I told them, and I was in my parents' room at the time, and I just remember my mom crying. My dad was really happy, my brother was really happy, but my mom was crying because, you know, the little baby in the family had to leave. But yeah, it was just an amazing moment at the time. It's a crazy experience. There was definitely a lot of difficult moments in the first early parts. You know, when you're 18, you spend 18 years of your life with your family in a house with your brothers and like this, and out of nowhere you take a plane and, you know, you're on your own now. You know, it's crazy to think about. Yeah, I was by myself. You know, 4,000 miles away from my family. You know, I don't have my parents to lean on at night or something like this, and you know, everything here was just, you know, I had amazing support from Wolfsburg, from the players, from the staff, and everyone. But a lot of things, you know, you have to do yourself and stuff like this, and you know, finding the grocery store or asking people for water or where the food is at and all this stuff. It was definitely difficult, but no, like I said, it was definitely, I had difficult moments, but I think I had, you know, some of these teammates welcomed me so easily here. They helped me with anything I needed to do here. But just not having, you know, the family and your friends and stuff like this, and you're 6 hours ahead of the normal time. There's definitely difficult moments, but yeah, it's all worth it. I know one player right now is having a lot of success for DC. That's Ted Pietro. I know he's balling out. It's for me, it's normal to see what he done at the academy when I was playing with them, and even before the academy when we played against each other, or U8 to, you know, then we played U12 together like this, and it's, for me, it's normal to see how well he's doing right now. I say he's having big success right now. Also, players like Jacob Green, he's doing well as well. Who else? And Matai. Matai is he's young, but I think in a couple of years when he gets more settled in the league, he gets the confidence. You can really see how good he is at the moment. But you know, with a couple of years, like it happened to me at first, you could see it, and then, you know, a year or two later, I really sprout out, and I think that would be the exact same for him as well.
Big Teddy KDP guy, no surprise there, from Kevin Paredes. Go check it out on MLSsoccer.com. The full story from Jonathan Siegel. Good stuff with Kevin Paredes, who is flying the MLS and DC flag in the Bundesliga right now. Let's go to the mailbag, and we'll get on out of here. Said we would talk about Kansas City, and we're going to do it. We have an email subject line that is, when is the time to let go of PV? He just signed a 5-year deal, so probably not now. Joe from Lawrence says, I'm curious, how long do you think Sporting KC's winless streak could continue before there would be some change? At the moment, it feels like we go the entire season without a win, and nobody would feel any pressure to improve. He says he's been making the trip to Kansas City to watch for years and years, whether it was at Arrowhead with Jimmy Conrad and Eddie Johnson, and now at Children's Mercy Park. And he is very frustrated that there's not a path forward that he thinks is going to improve the club on the field. What do you think of the path that Kansas City are on? Meanwhile, Adam in KC did hit us up and says he still believes, and he is frustrated by his fellow fans that don't see a path forward as well.
I think you should stay mad at your friends. You don't agree with you. I think that's probably the best way to handle it.
I mean, they haven't been able to identify or sign a defender in forever. And I think Peter Vermees is still a very good coach. He's been let down by Peter Vermees, the general manager.
That's the thing you think he's the best at, is the coach.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Is still like I like that game model. They need to rework their scouting department. They had a couple of hits. I still believe in Willie Agata. I think Eric Tommy's very good.
Yeah.
But like they have not been able to get a defender in there, and it's been a long time, right? Like
Basically since Aurelian Collin. An overseas signing has not hit in that.
Well, look,
position.
Andrea Fontos had a best 11 quality.
yeah, he had
but
one very
I see
good
that face.
the holes were clear on that.
Yeah.
right. So the fullbacks have not been a ton better. Graham Zusi's 1,000 years old.
Still
and
holding on.
Still
holding on.
starting.
Still among the top chance creators at fullback in the league. But yeah, the
They
Leibold
haven't hit
signing
at
had some
left back.
potential, but he's been hurt.
Yeah, they haven't hit at left back. Iko Para was the last center back
Yeah,
that they brought in. That was good. Again, not overseas. And Matt Beasler. So
And they could have re-signed Ike, but didn't.
yeah, but like they have not identified a defender in that entire time.
So you
and they
you
can't score
look
goals.
at the scouting department, you look at the other people who are bringing talent in, because it's not going to be Peter Vermees. He's just signed a 5-year deal. He has job security. Someone they have to rethink the structure of the rest of the front office.
Yeah, the goal scoring part is concerning. They've had a lot of shots, but they have really low quality of shots. So that's a concern. And also of late, a big concern is just mental errors. I mean, whether it be, Ben Sweat's not there anymore because of the second yellow probably against Seattle. Robert Castellanos last weekend essentially cost them the opportunity to compete.
What is Tim Melia doing on Rubio's goal? 2 weeks ago, he steps off the near post.
Yeah.
Rubio's 35
And this is
yards
also
away.
by when
Am I
Rubio,
the only person who could hear Anders
This is
freaking out
great.
in the cans?
No. I can't
Anders
hear
wants
you.
us to
We're
say,
better
Domino
than
on
more
this
professional than
conversation.
you. We can work through
It's
it.
very quiet in my ears. Anyway, that's the end of the show. We'll see you on Monday. That's a cough button.
Yeah, I muted you.
Domino, adios.